Turley, Mueller probe is a healthy dose of Tylenol to bring fever down. George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley said former FBI Director Robert Mueller, being named special counsel in the Trump-Russia probe, is a healthy dose of Tylenol for the country. The constitutional scholar said the appointment of Mueller to lead the investigation will bring this fever down, but also cautioned it will prolong the sickness by potentially taking years to reach a conclusion. Turley said that until Mueller was named, President Trump could not fully clear his name in the face of ongoing leaks and allegations. The appointment of a special counsel was almost inevitable when the Comey memo hit, Turley said. Take a quick listen here.
Now with more, Professor Jonathan Turley, who is a George Washington University law professor. Good to see you this evening, Professor Turley. What do you think about this news tonight?
Well, there's a curiosity here that this actually could be good news for the Trump administration. I said a week ago that they should be asking for a special counsel. The only way that President Trump could possibly clear his name after his own comments and this controversy would be for someone who was beyond reproach, beyond question, to render the decision. Had the Justice Department resolved this question, many on the Hill would not be satisfied because of everything that's happened. So this may be the price of hubris. This was almost inevitable when the Comey memo hit. But effectively what happened is the Deputy Attorney General gave the country a healthy dose of Tylenol to bring this fever down. But that also tends to prolong the sickness. As you know, these investigations are measured not in weeks or months, but years. They tend not to be the most efficient way to go about something, but they are the way to do it if you want to make sure that the results are accepted.
But this has been called a hybrid sort of appointment because he is the former FBI director. He is outside, but not that far outside. He understands the scope of, the approach to these kinds of investigations. So it's not like you're bringing in, Ken Starr from the outside of the process. The people who've been working at the FBI on this will now report to Mueller, and he will have the independence that he requires and that everyone, seems to believe is the only way he would operate or take this on in the first place. But you, interestingly, Professor, have been sort of shouting into the wind that there's no there so far. So now you've got a special prosecutor looking into something where we're not even sure if there's any evidence that points towards any crime at all. So where would you tell him to start?
Well, that's right. And actually, for many weeks, I questioned the need to have a special counsel because I didn't see the crime. I changed my mind when Comey was fired. Once the president did that, I believe that regardless of the evidence of the crime, we needed something like an independent counsel or special counsel to render this decision, to take over this investigation. That's why I think this is the correct way to go, not just for the Justice Department, but for the White House. They did pick someone unique. He's a company man. FBI agents and justice officials feel very comfortable with him. He has history with Comey. They're obviously friends. They had a historic moment together at the bedside of Attorney General Ashcroft, and that was a defining moment for both of them when they basically stood in contradiction to the White House. So I think what you're going to find is that he's not someone who is going to take lightly the damage that's been done to the image of the FBI or the Justice Department. That's the coin of the realm for the Justice Department, is its integrity. And I think he'll be really working very hard to restore it.
I think that in and of itself is very welcome and probably will be to most Americans because people have lost so much faith in institutions. They've seen so many aspects of all of this so politicized that they don't really have much trust in anything anymore. They think if it's a Republican administration, then they're going to influence these sorts of things. If it's a Democrat who's in charge, then they will also be able to curry favor with whoever happens to be under them at the Justice Department, which is a very sad situation. One of the things that Rod Rosenstein will determine is the scope of this. What's in, what's out, right, in this investigation? Does it include the conversation between Donald Trump and Jim Comey about maybe being nudged to sort of take a pass on this thing that involves Mike Flynn. What do you think should be in the scope of it? Because originally this was all about, are the Russians meddling in our election? And then it became something very different.
Well, once again, I think that the White House should invite the broader scope. I don't see the basis for suggesting that what allegedly happened between Comey and Trump was an act of criminal obstruction. I think if that were investigated, it would likely favor the White House in terms of the outcome unless some other evidence comes forward, which it might. But as to the scope, that's in the hands now of the special counsel, given the mandate, the language of his appointment. He can easily include that and many other things. The other thing I would note is when you're investigating the Russians, people ought to be a little cautious. A special counsel is like a live torpedo in the water. It can hit anything. And this city is awash with Russian money. There's a lot of Democrats as well as Republicans that have been hired by Russian outfits and extensions of Moscow. This is a sort of a cottage industry in this town. People should be very careful when they ask for a broad scope, because you wouldn't be able to say for certain who would fall under it. I
think that would be an aspect of that investigation that the President and the White House would probably welcome, based on some of the things that they've brought up about John Podesta and the rest of it. So we will see. Thank you very much. Always good to have you with us.
And there you have it. He just said, we don't know what's going to come out of it. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.